Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome. It is time for Free Tip Friday. Hooray! It is that time for us to gather around the bead table, chat a little bit about beads and design and all kinds of fun stuff. It looks like you guys are ready for us to jump in. So I'm going to go ahead and add Janice's audio. JP, can you hear me?
I can, my dear, I can.
All righty. Well, let's put us both in the broadcast. Here we
Hi
are. There we
there.
go. Let me center myself a little bit. Let me get centered. All right. Well, it is great to have you. Great to see you today.
And I'm going to center myself now.
Yes, center. There we go. All centered. And we noticed as we kind of did our pre-show how we coordinated very well today with kind of our colors and our scarves and our things. I had to put on
Do you
some big
remember
earrings.
these earrings? Do you remember
You
you
know what?
gave me these earrings?
I did. I think those might have been a birthday gift.
Yes.
Those nice citrines or something, I think. Yes.
Yeah, they're peridot, I think. They're a light green. Or maybe green amethyst.
Maybe. You never know. Because we like our stones here at Bead Shop, for sure. Well, it looks like, Janice, we've got a whole bunch of people watching today.
Great.
And a whole bunch of people jumping in and commenting and saying hello. So it's great to have everybody here. I thought that today, for this Free Tip Friday, that we would discuss a couple of things. And so when I asked you to join in, I thought we'd have some fun talking about design a little bit. Talking a little bit, we've got a little bit of throwback history, Throwback Friday, not instead of Throwback Thursday. And I have a couple of pieces of yours and a piece of mine that we're going to talk about. So
Okay.
it looks like everybody, there's a bunch of people here. Oh, we have, let's see who's here first. We'll say hello to Jerry. Jerry says hello from Venice, California, where not far from where my Chris grew up in Camarillo. She says it's the first time watching live and she really enjoys our videos, Kate and Janice. So thank you, Jerry.
Jerry.
Welcome live. That's great. I love it. And everyone's here. Cindy and Hale and Michelle, and there's Gita is here, which is great. It's awesome to have all of you here. And we have a lady in Florida. We promise not to tell. She says hello. She's sneaking in from work. So we promise we won't tell if you won't tell. Because Janice and I are also sneaking in from work. We're actually out right now, but but it's great to have you here. And plus it's Friday, indulge, right? Alrighty. So, Christine Whitney is saying that the lighting is looking better. This setup is always a work in progress. So I'm, 4 years later, I'm honing in on it. So, but thank you, Christine, for noticing. We're always trying to get better. So Janice knows this because I told her I was going to spring it on her as a surprise, but I thought I would tell her. And so we got a package in the mail today and a letter. I'm going to read a viewer letter from Jenny Martin, and I'm going to read it. And she says, "Hi, Kate and Janice. I found this in my stash of stuff," and I'm going to show you what this is in a second. "And I thought you might like it for your library. I may have had a couple of other tapes and will forward to you if I find them. I made a copy to a USB drive and am enclosing one for you too." She goes on to say, "Kate, I took a course or two of yours at the Tacoma Bead Festival many, many years ago, and I've been following you since. I think I may have taken another class at one of the Tucson shows. You are a great and inspiring teacher," which is very nice of you to say. Thank you. And she said, "I love the Bead Shop website. Shout out to Karen and Drea and the team, and the tutorials on YouTube, Facebook, etc., and all the tips and tricks that you share with all of us. Very best regards, Jenny Martin." Well, thank you, Jenny, so much. And let me show you guys what she sent. This is a real throwback to pearl knotting like a pro. Class
Yes.
on video with Janice
Yes.
Parsons. So
You know,
this,
that was Bev's wedding necklace.
oh,
Mother
was
of
it
the
that you
bride
made?
to my goddaughter.
Oh my
Yes, that
gosh,
was her
isn't that
wedding.
funny? That's so great. And look, it
Yeah.
has our University Avenue address on it and our old phone number, 328 Bead, I think
Yeah.
is what it was. I remember styling that shot. I think I still have that leaf plate there. But this is the pearl knotting video that you did,
Yeah.
JP. And
Mhm.
it said right here, we sold it for $30 right there on the
Worth
back.
every penny.
Worth every penny. And so it talks a lot about what you do here. And so I also happen to have a copy of mine, which is
Wild.
Wild Without
Yes.
Wire class on video. And so one of the things that we're going to talk about today, and this was totally timely, Jenny, that you sent this, we're going to talk a little bit about design and how maybe you use your spirit animal. You know, my spirit animal is wire. Janice, one of her spirit animals is stringing and pearl knotting, definitely. And how you incorporate that into design. So we have, Janice, your class is right here on this memory USB. So I'm going to see if I can extract it, and maybe we'll put some of it up on YouTube. We filmed these in our University Avenue store in, I think 2000. We must have done them because we had moved to the new store, I think.
Yeah. What is it? Is there a copyright date on it?
I don't know. Be kind, rewind. Let me open this up here. I don't
Do you
know.
remember that? Be
Yeah,
kind,
right.
rewind.
Be kind, rewind. I don't even know if I can get this. Here we go. All right. Does it say? No, but here's the VCR. Here it is. Here's the tape. There's
Yeah.
Sammy.
There's Sammy.
It looks like it's in good shape. It doesn't, funnily enough. I bet it has it though on the product itself. I think it was around 2000 that we did this. And we have there's a third one in this series. There's a stringing one that I also did. That I have no idea. We only have these two. But Jenny, if you find the other one, we'd love it. We'd love to see it. But I'll see. It's all right here. So we may take a walk down memory lane in our old store with us
Kate,
sometime.
is
But
Sammy distracting you? I can put him outside the door.
No.
Okay. Okay. Because he'll just come in and out the whole time.
Everybody is really excited to see Sammy. And my mom remembers the leaf plate. She actually may be the one who bought that leaf plate for me. She would always buy them for my jewelry display. But so with wire and with stringing, and design work, I think that, once you kind of get really proficient, or it becomes like second nature to you, doing a technique, I think that's something that you can always then fall back on, right? So one of the things that we did, and I'm going to put this piece in, and I'm going to highlight it so we can see it here. Some of you may have watched this, the Beadalon challenge we did a couple of weeks ago, where they sent us a box here at Bead Shop, and I think 24 or 25 other companies created a piece with the stuff in the box. And then I have also Janice's wonderful design through storytelling piece also that she did, and sent it to me, and we kind of did that same thing. We've been having challenges, And so, Janice, I want you. We'll talk about this piece first, and then we'll talk a little bit about this one here. But when you design, and on Wednesday we're going to be doing the color study design, the new piece that you have, which I can't wait for you guys to see. It's just beautiful.
Thank you.
it's just good. You guys are going to love it. It's so, so good. So when you started this piece, Janice, or when, you get a frantic call from me going, Janice, we've got to fill in the Facebook calendar. make, make something, would ya? And
Yeah.
so what's your beginning? How do you begin that?
That's a really good question, because it's always easy when you're starting to design to, I would say, lead with fear, is to worry about where is it going and I can't really do it. And I think that what I do in order to get going is I just start somewhere. And uh, whether it's I start with a button or I start with a section of chain, but I let sort of like I let the inner genie kind of tell me what I feel like doing. And I go with what I feel like doing. And then as I'm doing it, I think of it like writing a paragraph, so that when you're writing, and I used to talk about this at the shop, when I write a paragraph or someone writes a letter, you have to put in spaces between the words. You want to put in periods. You have to make it readable, legible. And so in that particular piece, designing with storytelling, I started with the kitty bead.
Right, this Aqua Kitty from Green Girl Studios.
Yeah, and I started with, okay, I want to work with that. I put it in the middle of a strand of thread, some cord, and I just put things on either side and then worked on it until, which I always do, I work on it until I say I don't know what to do next. And then I stop. That's how I work. So that I don't try to push myself
right,
through,
and
blocks.
through something, right, that through like a creative block. The thing that it's funny that you mentioned that this Aqua Kitty was your first strand, because this strand does have the pearl knotting in it. It has your feeding superpower in there, right? Which is pearl knotting for sure. So, and you guys, you can also download our handout. It's the handout that Janice gave in class when we had the brick and mortar store. She had the handout. It's under our learning. It's under archive projects, I think, and it's pearl knotting handout. So you really, really want to download that, because that's a pearl knotting class in and of itself. It's great. So I think that. And that's something that I learned from you, Janice, definitely early on, which was to not worry too much about the outcome or the end, and to just let the beads tell their story, right? And this was a piece, in case you guys didn't see this piece being creative, Janice made these segments here and then sent them in, and then we did a broadcast together called Design Through Storytelling, and I put these together kind of on the fly. I didn't really even think about it beforehand, and just created a piece out of it. And it's very funny, someone commented about how these two pieces kind of go with each other, kind of, and I think it's because we both on these pieces relied on our spirit animal to create. So this was I think the first piece that I started on with this one.
Yeah, I love that.
I really like it too. It shows collaging, which I love, stacking. It shows wire work. It shows this connecting through like this silk wrapping. And then what we did here is this piece of Janice's that she did is also pearl knotting, and I doubled it over so it was a little thicker. And then I came through and I did that wire wrapping again to that donut bead. So I utilized wire to kind of bring all of this stuff together. So that's this piece here. I also wanted to point out, Janice, before we move to the other one, how really nicely you can incorporate pieces using the technique, that flat poetry technique or Bollywood technique that the flat macrame knot. And so you did that in this segment. You can see it connects there, and then it connects there.
Right.
And then Trish is asking this ring on ring. She wanted specifically to know what this one was. So, on a neck stand. Whoops, sorry, I did the wrong one on my mom. Yeah, I'll show it on a neck moth for you. But Trish was asking, can you tell us what you use specifically, the ring on ring? So this one is our flat ring. It's called Abiding. We have it on the website, and we have it in 3 different flavors, in the silver, the antique copper, the antique brass. And then this one, I think, is our medium ring, Janice, right?
I think. Let me go check.
We have a couple of different hoops. We have the mini hoop, we have the medium, and then I think we have just 2. I don't know. I'm going to spotlight this one a little bit while we're searching that out.
I think that's the medium hoop.
The medium hoop? Okay, I think so too. And then I just stacked them. And then while I was stacking and wire wrapping it, it was kind of scooting off to the side a little bit, as I remember. So that's why I wire wrapped on this side, and then I came over, wire wrapped on this side. They were both a little loose, so then I could push it to the center and center it. And then I did that little quarter turn with my pliers to tighten everything up, if that makes sense. Okay.
And you didn't use glue?
No, there's no glue on this. It's just held together through through the wire. And this piece, I like this a lot. And I must have had this in my mind, Janice, when you did this with this paperclip chain, right?
Really?
And you just did this really beautiful, it's very simple, but piling this chain on chain here, 2, 4, 6 strands of chain. You can see, if I move this over to the side, the piece that I did in the Beat-A-Lon challenge has that same piece feel to it. So when we did this challenge, and I was a little, I'll admit, I was a little nervous, right? You're going up against, a bunch of other, or designing with, not going up against, because we're all on the same team here, but the bead team. But I really, when you open the box, and if you watch the replay of that live broadcast, you can see everyone's working and trying to take in everything that was sent in that box. That box had so much stuff in it. It was like I couldn't see the forest for the trees, right? So I jumped in and started working with my spirit animal, which was wire. Now, the first thing that I did was, and it was very nice, and Press Art, a bunch of the different sponsors sent so many nice things. And Press Art sent a letter set and these glue-in Swarovski crystals that I used. And since I knew I was really familiar with it and felt really comfortable, I felt like I had to warm up, right? So I just stamped this out, kind of as my mantra for the whole thing. We had an hour, right? Yeah. And then I put it aside and kind of let that guide me. Okay. Oh, and Cynthia is watching. Cynthia from Green Girl Studios. Cynthia, I hope you saw that we were talking about your Aqua Kitty. And Janice, I have seen some of Cynthia's new things that she just debuted. That we're gonna have to chat about to add. I'm so excited. So including an amazing seed bead clasp that I can't wait. I can't wait for it. So then this chain actually came from Beat-A-Lon, but it's very similar to our small paper clip. But I figured, since I only had an hour, if I started to work in components, I could at least put them together really quickly with jump rings and be finished, right? I didn't want to make it I didn't want to leave it unfinished, right? So I started, and I'm going to do a live broadcast on this because I think you guys had enough interest that will do this piece. These large pieces here, these are fun strands that came in the box, and then we have some tiara cast pieces in here too. And if you'll see, I don't know if you guys can see that, but if you're familiar with tiara cast, you know they're bales, right? They have bales that go into discs or donuts, right? Well, I figured with my metalsmithing background, and I've done this before with tiara cast pieces, I just opened it up, right? So I opened it up so it was flat, and I used the little hammer that Impress Art sent, hammered it really gently flat, and then I popped a hole in it with a hole punching plier, and you can see that hole is there, and there's one there. The tiara, and there's two in the middle, so there's a hole here, 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 and here. And that was kind of my base. I was like, I need something to kind of hold this all together. Then I just started stringing the beads on and made a cluster, and then added that piece on the top, so I had a place to connect my jump ring there, right?
Kate,
And then,
could I ask you, could I just ask a question? I think other people might want to know
yeah.
the answer.
Mm-hmm.
You said there was just a lot in this box. It was overwhelming. How
Mm-hmm.
did you pick the beads? Because they look like they're of a certain colorway. Did you have more than those particular colors to choose
did.
from?
Yeah, we had a bunch of like boxes, some strands of beads, some little bunches of beads that came in various, they were sort of already in colorways. But what I did was I'm fast on the bead sort, right? So we had about 20 minutes to open the box and look at things before we actually began. So what I did was, and I'm going to show you, this is a great, I'm going to stop highlighting this one. I'm going to remove this for a second and put you and I here.
Mhm.
I'm going to do this so we're a little further back. What I use, this is, we've got Ming over here. Let me move her over. There we go. What I used, what's so funny?
Okay, no.
There we are. I used this,
Okay, the ultimate.
which is, let me see if I can straighten it out, which is one of your favorite tools to design with. And
Absolutely.
I love it too. I love it. So I had one of these on my desk. And as I opened up, I also had the triangles. So I placed them here on the board like this. And as I opened up the beads, I sorted them by color almost immediately.
Okay,
So I
great.
knew when I could grab fast and use that color. Okay. So then what we did, let me put this back in and I like that layout, but let's do this. There we go. Then I wrapped this guy. So this one was done. And this, you can see this piece has such a big hole. Oh, that's a little sharp. I'm just gonna take my plier and I also tried to have, there we go. I tried to have really good working habits. I didn't want this to be kind of slapdash, so I tried to have really good work habits as I did it. But can you see how here with this large hold bead, how we did that, right? Mm-hmm. And then here, I added another bead with a wire wrap at the top. And then we used some of these hammered rings that we carry at Bead Shop were in the piece. So again, I went to my spirit animal wire, mm-hmm. and I just did a little bit of freeform. And I did it kind of on the side because I wanted some of that metal to show, and I wanted some of the metal to also kind of echo back to this tiara cast piece here. The wire gauge, people were asking about the wire gauge. I used 22 gauge for this. And we have, and I may do this as a giveaway in the future because they sent so much of this fun wire. It would be fun to share it with people. So maybe we'll do that on a future broadcast. Stay tuned to your newsletters, and I'll cook something up with Drea. It'll be fun. But the wire that they sent, it was really nice. We carry a bunch of different wires in 22 gauge, but their wires, it's hard to see, but can you see how they're multicolored, right? And it's all just on that one spool. It goes from color to color to color. So it's great.
So Kate, I want to just ask you, because it looks like you had an hour to do this, and with like laser precision, you're an expert. We're the audience, and we're not nearly as skilled as that top 1% of wire masters in the world. No, it's true. I'll just be very honest. You could put on this, a tag, "Don't try this at home in an hour." But you brought to this, and I looked at all the other entries, and you can go look at them on the Great Bead Extravaganza. But you brought a three-dimensionality and texture, and just a unique point of view that I don't think the other pieces had. And today's show is really about design. How did you know to build that piece three-dimensionally? Is it just like in your bones now that you just
I think so, and
throw it in?
Yeah, and I think it's something that echoes back to what you were saying. And you can go, they're linking there in the for the Bead-A-Lon challenge. It actually wasn't on the Great Bead Extravaganza page. It was on the Bead-A-Lon page, but it's linked in the chat so you guys can see it. And it's also in our newsletter. I think the voting goes on until the 19th of February. But it was really interesting to take a look at every entry that was made and really take a look at the different pieces that how people put them together. I happen to be pretty fast, and again, I relied on wire wrapping, which, as you say, that's my skill, that's my spirit animal in jewelry. And I threw in, again, old habits die hard, right? So there's a silk wrap there. This is the 1.5 millimeter pyrite leather, so I silk wrapped with it there. I closed it up and used that same silk wrap there. So I think maybe it's, if you're not sure how to begin a piece, maybe start by relying on something that you're very, very good at, or not even very, very good, but something that delights you visually, right? And I was worried, right, at the end, because I had gotten like this portion done, right? I had gotten these three elements done: the rings, the create, and this. And then I just was like, okay, how are we going to put this together? So since these pieces were kind of busy, right? I mean, they're nice, but they have a lot going on, right? This has the stamping, this has the wire wrap, this has a huge wire wrap cluster. I wanted to be able to get your eye to travel around like we did with this design through storytelling, right? Like we did with yours. And so I tried to weight it so that some of the weight of the piece would also travel up the side, so that then when I put something skinny here, visually it worked. I threw on this, I put the, I didn't throw on, well, I did, I threw on, I put on the metal, the pyrite leather. I put this big hole bead through, I tied a knot, and then I came up and I put it back through here and I wire wrapped it. And it just looked too skinny, right? But I didn't have time to like take it apart, put some more beads on. So I tapped kind of inward and said, okay, what other trick can I put on this? So I thought, well, I've got some wire sitting here. Let's silk wrap it. And I put it in the middle And had I had more time, I might have put another one here and another one here. So maybe it had a little more, but at least there was one in the middle so
Mm-hmm.
that it looked, there wasn't one like way down there or way up there. Then on the other side, I was like, well, what can I also add? So the slimness of this and this kind of slim piece both match. And then I thought, well, I want something that also has a little heft to it, but has some movement. And so this must have been cemented in my brain from when we did it on design through storytelling. So I just took the
Mm.
chain, doubled it. I used, I don't know, this is 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then connected it with jump rings. And then
Mm-hmm.
it all came together, thank goodness. But having also these component parts in your stash, some pieces that you can use to kind of create with as you're working, so you keep that flow. That was the beauty of this, as well as this challenge, was that I had this whole store of stuff that I could tap into. This one, we could only use stuff from the box, right?
Mm-hmm.
So luckily we do carry some of these pieces or things that are kind of close to them. This, when Janice made these different components, we were putting this on the calendar kind of fast. So she didn't have a lot of time. I'm going to put us back on here. We didn't have a lot of time for you to make an order and for me to send you things and for you to then build it and then send it back. You were like, I'm just going to work with what I had in my stash. So having, a supply of your threads and interesting focals and stuff like that, I think also really help you along the way.
I think I'd like to see everyone at home try that wrapping of the beads that you did in the component.
Mm-hmm.
And to just grab a bunch of beads, grab some wire, find something that you can attach it all to. All you're going to lose is the amount of wire you're using, because you can take it apart and so you can't use the wire again. But
Mm-hmm.
to just try it, I think it's really freeing. You did those, one of your favorite my favorite projects of yours are those tornado earrings.
Yeah, I love
That
those. I'm not sure where they are. They're pretty.
where are they on the website? Are they under earrings? And
I think they are under earrings. Let me
oh,
see if I can grab
they
a
are the
lot of these.
beats knees to me. They're under earrings and they're called simple wire earrings.
Oh,
And this one is called tornado earrings. I want to say those belong in a museum.
that's, thank you.
They really encapsulate who you are as a designer for me. They
Oh,
just,
thank you. Well, those were also kind of made, Janice, kind of like what the way that these pieces were made. In
yeah.
that we were doing those kind of at the beginning of COVID,
Mm-hmm.
and I would just jump on and I'm going to upload this right here so you guys can see it. And so I just kind of flew by the seat of my pants, right? We were doing all of those. Here they are. I put them up right here. And I just kind of flew by the seat of my pants and put them together. And again, relied on my spirit animal, which was fire. But yeah, these are pretty nice, if I do say so myself. I
Just
like them. Thank you.
absolutely the bee's knees. I could stare at them for hours.
Oh.
Just so.
Well, I think that what I used, it's either 24 or 22 gauge. Both of those wires are really good to have on hand, which are great.
I can tell you right now what you used. You used 24 gauge titanium, the non-tarnish.
Non-tarnish. Nice.
Yeah, that's what you used. Beautiful.
Cynthia is on, and she just said, I'm going to put her comment up, and she said, it's really impressive that you did this in an hour. I tend to waffle around and take so long placing elements. Well, that's also, I think, what Cynthia is saying. sometimes waffling around, if you have the time, is very important work, I think. Because Cynthia makes such beautiful things, strings such beautiful pieces. And I think placing each piece with intention, I mean, this is a marathon, not a race, right? Sometimes it's a race, right? We do challengers or we have those kind of things. But as you're creating jewelry and as you're pulling your pieces together, maybe for a line or a collection that you're making, working on multiple pieces at the same time, and sometimes just taking your time and placing, knowing, like if I have this piece to do over again, or even this piece to do over again, they'd probably be different. Pardon me. Right. I might think about, what these connections look like, maybe, or something like that. Maybe make sure that everything is a lot more intentional. But placing those little pieces, exactly where you want them, there's a lot of satisfaction in that. If you watch when Cynthia was out before we were in shelter in place before COVID, and I have these little pieces right here that are tacked up on our board, but she talked about color and she talked about design and stuff and layout. And so you may want to go and take a look. That's also on our site at beadshop.com. And
it's under learning, Kate. It's under learning.
Under masterclass, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Color theory and design with Cynthia Thornton.
Yes. And this is one of the pieces she painted that day with watercolor.
That was amazing. That was really just an amazing.
Yeah. I love having these little cards. They just have them right here. And then I have one of your watercolors actually here too, Janice, that I'm going to show because I don't know if people have seen this lately. You did this piece. We did a design. Periodically, we do these design broadcasts. And I think we must have done this when we did that Soft Flex 101 and we called, you did Tree Frog and we did the other one here. Well, this is a drawing, a watercolor that Janice did, kind of a design storyboard. But you don't even always need beads to design. And though Janice is a fantastic artist and she's a great watercolorist, you don't have to have the ability that JP has to give yourself some storyboard inspiration.
Well, you can sketch, you can snip things out of magazines, you can get color ideas from photographs. The handout for color study, is it color study or tricks of the trade? I think it's tricks of the trade.
Yeah.
That talks about where to get inspiration. It's under
I think it's under archive projects, isn't it?
Let me look. I probably
or just type it into the search bar. I bet I'll come up too.
Yeah.
But what I really love, Janice, and we also have some templates under our templates. We have a neck template as well that I think we did for this. We put links on it, but you could also use it to sketch. My mom was saying earlier that she'd like to see those on a neck. We do have necks that sometimes we put things on. I'm going to switch this around so I'm here. And putting a piece, let me turn it over. There we go.
Putting a little like my neck.
Or that's why I have a scarf. As that's why Katharine Hepburn always wore her scarves, to hide any evidence of decay, as she would say. So you can see how just putting this on this neck, you can see how things might, there we go, how things might lay a little bit. Kind of hard to do it backwards on the video, but there we go. That's a little bit better. So you can see how things might drape and things like that. So this is another great essential tool for putting all this together. I heard Sammy. I heard a little mew.
Yep, he's right here. He wants some attention. He's going to have to wait.
But I love this piece. I love this. I keep this up
Oh,
with
thank
Cynthia's
you.
watercolor as well. It's really, it's just, and you can really see the silhouettes, the different ideas that you had in mind here. Someday we'll have Brittany on with just her design book as well. She brings it
Mhm,
on Saturdays when she comes to
mhm.
help out, and it's super, super inspiring. Um, I wanted to share before we wrap this up. I wanted to share a couple of other kind of what we call must-haves or favorites that we have for designing. One of them, as you know, it's one of Brittany's favorites as well, is this mini macrame board. Um, we carry it in the mini size and the bigger size too, right? And what I like about this is that it comes marked off in inches. So if you're macrameing across the top here, you can lay your piece out and know how long of a piece that you're making, or you could certainly turn it around if you want the blank side. That's how you use it a lot, Janice, and I know how Brittany uses it as well. And you have this nice flat surface that you can then pin into like this with your two pins to hold things in there. Okay. And then we also have our other big fave, and we just got these back in. I don't have the box, but we do have the boxes. I just don't have one here in the Facebook room. But this nice burlap, the design boards, and we have the burlap boxes as well. And then, of course, our deep dish design boards and our clampers here. And the clampers come in a pair. This is an Emily Miller find that she can't do without. And so when you're macrameing or doing whatever it is you're doing, you can use these clampers. I have this kimono cord left over from the other day. So you could see how I've looped it with that kitchen twine, and then I can come in and clamp something to the board this way so it's nice and taut, so I'm ready to ladder or do whatever it is I'm doing. So having some of these essential tools near you really helps you to pull stuff together.
I use mine all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I go back and forth from the ultimate
Mm-hmm.
to the design tray but I use those clampers. That's what we call them, just clampers, and
Yeah,
a piece of twine. I use them all the time.
yeah, I do too. I mean, it's a staple, really. And
Mhm.
one of the things, Janice, before we part, I have this, and
Oh,
I wanted to pull this out. You guys have seen this, but I have it hanging actually right by my work area here at the office because I don't know what it is about this piece that I find so uber inspirational, that you've done out of all the millions of pieces that you've done here. But this is that Odyssey that you did, and you really let color
mhm,
be your guide on this.
mhm.
So, will you talk a little bit just about, I don't know, talk a little bit about this piece? This was based on our Odyssey project, right?
And I used Padres and
Mm-hmm.
multicolored with several of the popcorn Padres that we have come in strands of two to three colors, or even four colors. And the one thing I've always believed is that whatever you do, if you do it in a rainbow, you can sell it.
Mm-hmm.
People love rainbows. There's just something about that rainbow where you go from one color to another. So I just, if you look at Cynthia's masterclass, and Cynthia shows us about the color wheel and working your way either across the
Right.
color wheel or around the color wheel, and the most time consuming thing of this project was separating the beads by their colors, and then in between going from one color to the next, I kind of, what I call, smush the colors together. I before going to the white from the brown, I brought some of the white in and then some of the tan in to go to the white. Then the white, if you notice, it goes from white of some of the, like raindrops. Then I went to the yellow. Then the yellow went to the green went to the blue. And it's just basically a color wheel. That's all it is. You can just go from red to blue by just staggering your color.
Yeah, look at how, and Cynthia is also, gosh, Cyn, I wish you were here with us. She said, seriously, Janice, you have a great eye for color. She thinks this is a beautiful color shift that you created.
Well, Cynthia, you used even a word I've never used before, a shift. That's what they call it. I didn't know that's what they call it, but it's great. It is the shift from one to the next.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And Cindy has a question. Is that on wax linen? And it is. And
yes.
the wax linen in this piece, if you look, this was actually Ceylon that you used here, but you accented this red. I think this is the country red, if I'm not mistaken.
It is.
And that little bit of the green Ceylon, it's such an unusual, and not in a bad, not unusual like, oh, that's unusual, but so unusual. It's an unusual color choice, you know, and that red, because you wouldn't normally gravitate, or I wouldn't go, oh, I'm going to use all of these colorful pieces and I'm going to put this on red cord. But the red cord acts as the unifier, I think, to this piece.
It really warms it up. And again, I had, I think, some turquoise, but that seemed so obvious.
Right.
And I wanted to show that whatever color you use, it wouldn't matter. That it acts like the air between a sentence, between each word. It really doesn't matter. Pick any color you want. And if you use it consistently, it's going to read as a neutral.
Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. And finding your neutral, whatever that neutral is, like I use Montana blue all the time. It's my neutral, right?
Do you know why you do?
I do know why, but you tell everyone why.
Because it's your eye color.
That's right. So I gravitate to that.
Yeah. We all gravitate to our eye color.
Yeah.
We do.
Because it's easy to, it's an easy neutral to plug in. Now, before we go, there are a couple of questions about this, and you guys can go back and watch the whole broadcast when Janice and I do this. But you started this, JP, at this end, is that right? And worked your way towards the ring?
No. I started it at the ring end.
Okay. And so
but I didn't attach it to anything. I just did them. I left enough space on that end that I didn't know where I wanted to go with it. I didn't know how it was going to end. I just started stringing. Those are brown, I think. I started stringing the brown first. That's what I felt like doing.
And so you cut 5 strands, and you didn't. There was a question on here from Sandy who says, let me see, there she is. Did you have to add string? And you didn't. What you did was you cut your wax linen 5 strands. You're going to need extra for the knots. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to measure this out.
They were 2 yards each. I made them. I cut them from a nest, 2 yards each.
Okay, because the nest is 10 yards, right?
Yeah, and then I just left probably, I'm going to say at least 8 inches on the starting side because I didn't know how I was going to end it. And I just knotted them. And as you see as I go, I started out, they were much more spaced. And then when I finish with all the blue strands, you'll see they're so much closer together.
Right.
I just started to like them closer together, but I didn't redo the brown. I just said, they are what they are. I'm just leaving them.
And it helps with the flow. And this also goes through the way you close it is those ends all go through like so.
You can wear
And
it
they
any,
just
you can wear it that way. You can double it around again
mm-hmm,
and go through the hoop again.
mm-hmm,
Um, you could wear it where you just leave it long and tie it in a knot,
right.
so that there's the hoop on one end and the metal beads on the other. It's just,
And they're just finished with a little metal seed bead here. You can see that. And you can also see there's just an overhand knot, maybe a double overhand knot here at the end. And people are commenting, oh my gosh, it's so much knotting. This is all so great. You know, and you can see, I want to bring this up. You can see that the knots are kind of randomly put in. So you don't have to sweat where these knots end up, right? Because you want these beads to kind of move along the iris wax linen. So
mhm.
just string and knot, just whatever strikes your fancy. Don't even worry. And what you use, Janice, is one strand, I think, of the Mykonos and one strand of the Circus Padres, correct?
Yeah, I think it was a lot less.
Yeah,
I think it was just two strands.
two strands of the Padres. So it's a very
Yeah.
economical piece to do, but it packs a lot of visual punch for
Mhm.
that.
And
Well,
remember, Kate, you and I, sorry, you and I were
no,
just saying the other day, how can we have sold so much of the country red
right?
wax linen?
Yeah, yeah, right.
And I think it's because this project
This
resonated with
project,
people.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really resonates. And Sylvia is saying that the organic knot placement is what makes me happy on this piece. And I agree. I think it's like the regularity of these beads, but they're also organic. The knots kind of have that organic feel. And then you have kind of a nice regularity with these metal beads. It all comes together
Oh,
to
thank
kind
you.
of create a story. It's really great. Well, Janice, I think that may bring us to the end of our fun free tip Friday today. Um, I next week we're going to kind of continue with this Odyssey design. There's Sammy with your color study. Now, if you, not color study, but uh, no, your color study.
Color study. Yeah.
And if you want to get kind of a jump start on what we're going to be talking about, you guys can go to the color study project page. The project isn't up yet. We're going to put that up at the beginning of the week, Janice's new one. But you can click into any of them and download the handout. It is a really good masterclass, speaking of masterclass, in making wrap bracelets and talking about how each of those segments, I don't think, I have maybe my color study here from way back, but we're going to talk about the different ways it comes together, including we're going to talk about laddering up chain, which is this
Mhm.
one here. I think it's yours is 8 wraps, I think, Janice, right?
I think so. I forgot about time. And
Yeah.
I just said, I just want to keep beating.
Yeah.
And it went past 5, then 6, then I
Oh,
still had something to say. And then
yeah.
that's when I think I texted you, do I have to add chain? And you said, yes, you have.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then
Because
after that, I just had to keep going. Yeah.
yeah, because chain, I think, really is a hallmark of what kind of this color study is about.
Yeah.
So we're going to start it on Wednesday. We may actually even hold it over a little bit and talk about it that following Friday. We'll see how far we
Mhm.
get because there's a lot to say about the color. And you used the Pantone colors of the year. You used yellow and gray, but you also kind of put your own little spin on it because the yellow and gray didn't totally make your heart sing. So you
It
added some stuff
totally did
in there
not.
that
Yeah.
made you kind of love it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I fell in
I
love
want
with
to
it for sure.
I want to put up, at the beginning of the month, I wanted to remind everybody that we do our Bead Doctor segment. This was kind of a quasi Bead Doctor segment that we did today, talking about design. But you can always submit any of your questions. You can send them right over to info@beadshop.com. Drea keeps them on a running tab for us so that we can see them. And we promise we will get to them. I also wanted to share with you guys, let me hide that and let me pull this up here. I also wanted to remind everyone to find us on our social. You can follow us at beadshop.com on Instagram. Join our Bead Shop group called the Bead Table on Facebook. You can also find our Bead Table blog, also called the Bead Table. You can link that through our homepage at beadshop.com. And of course, subscribe to our YouTube channel at beadshop.com so you will get a lot of all of the information and notifications when we go live and when we put up other broadcasts. I also wanted to let everyone know that right now we are having our 14% off store-wide sale. So if you got your newsletter, if you are a newsletter subscriber, today is Friday, February 12th. So you have a couple more days to take advantage of this coupon code, LOVE14. And do sign up for our newsletter. You'll get the latest discounts, giveaways, new products. We'll look at maybe doing a giveaway with some of those goodies that were in the box, that Bead-A-Lon box. It would be fun to share some of those with you guys. Voting for that piece is still going on. You can go, I think that Geeta was linking it over in the chat as well. So you can find it there, and we'll announce what happens with it at the end of after the 19th, I think. Okay, well, it was great to see everyone. I will see you on Wednesday, Janice, for our big epic color study broadcast. And remember, as always, people I think are loving what we did. So thank you so much for taking time out of your Friday. I know your grandson Eli is there with you somewhere too. So
That's who I was pointing to, but he doesn't want to come on and say hi.
yeah, he says no, Gopka.
No, go.
Well, enjoy the rest of your weekend with Eli.
Thank you.
And with Sammy and Mercedes. And we will see you on Wednesday for color study. Everyone have a fantastic, fun, safe, socially distanced, hand-washed, vaccinated weekend. We're getting there slowly. And we'll see you guys on Wednesday.
Thank you, everyone.
Talk to you soon.